Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with another wonderful box from Australian eloquence, Decca in this case. Oh boy, John Ogdon, the Argo years. John Ogdon is, well, he's sort of a legend, a fascinating and troubled figure in contemporary piano music, a brilliant technician, a questing spirit, a composer. He was incredibly gifted and incredibly troubled. He suffered from mental illness in his later career, from either schizophrenia or, well, they're not exactly sure. I mean, they think it was either schizophrenia or manic, obsessive compulsive manic depression, as did Otto Klemperer, for example. He had manic and depressive phases. So they think that may have been the issue. But in any case, he was quite young when he died. He was in his early 50s. He burnt himself out. I mean, he really was. Let's see, he died, 1937 to 1989. So he was 52, which is really sad. Egon Petri was one of his teachers. He did a lot of contemporary music, including that first recording of Sarabji's Opus Clavicembalisticum, which is not one of his better works. It's very late. It was toward the end of his career. But his 6 discs here on Argo offer some really splendid music making, and it was wonderful remaking its acquaintance. So I want to talk you through it, and just recommend that you give him a shot if you haven't yet, if you don't know him or you don't know his work. It's an interesting selection of stuff, I guarantee you that. So we have Mendelssohn, his concerto for 2 pianos in E major, which is really quite wonderful. He plays with his wife, Brenda Lucas, who was also quite accomplished. And then the concerto in A minor for piano and strings, early Mendelssohn, which nobody gets to hear. And then he's doing the Mozart Piano and Wind Quintet. A delicious performance with Barry Tuckwell, horn and direction. I guess he was going like this, conducting with his hand. I don't know, something like that. It's on this disc. Remember this disc, the Mozart disc with Barry Tuckwell? So there he was. So it's a lovely disc and well worth hearing. The Mendelssohn double piano concertos don't get nearly enough attention. They're really fun. Then we've got this wonderful, interesting disc with his wife, Brenda. There she is on the photo. The Liszt Concerto Pathétique in E minor, the second version for 2 pianos. That's a novelty, isn't it? I mean, it's rarely really heard. The Schumann Andante and Variations for 2 pianos, and the 6 studies in canonic form, which are actually marvelous. And they were transcribed by Debussy for 2 pianos. They're really cool. So this is one of those discs. It's really, really interesting repertoire. And that's sort of what he did. I mean, it's what he did best. Let's put it that way. Then there was this disc, which I got on LP, and I loved it. It was wonderful. The Stravinsky Capriccio for piano and orchestra, which is an absolutely delightful piece. It very, very seldom gets played. It's only 17 minutes long. It's very neoclassical. I think it's terrific. It's witty and brilliant. The last time I heard it performed live was with Veronica Jochum in the Baltimore Symphony under Joseph Silverstein. Sibelius Seventh was also on the program, and I know it because it was my college graduation at Johns Hopkins in 1983, and my parents and everybody were around, and so I got everybody tickets, and we all went. That was the same week that I went to see the Mahler 2 with Rostropovich at Kennedy Center with my brother and grandmother. That was some graduation. It was terrific. Anyway, so that was fun, and he plays it wonderfully. I mean, this was really one of the very, very few recordings you could get that wasn't in the Stravinsky box, by Stravinsky and his fellow cronies. It was an independent voice, a fresh voice, and it was great. And he also did a very good recording of the Shostakovich First Piano Concerto for strings, trumpet, and piano, and the trumpeter is John Wilbraham. This is with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields and Neville Mariner. It was in the Mariner box, the Mariner 20th Century box, and the Mariner Argo Years box, and the Academy thing, and all that stuff. Really, really, really fine performances. Outstanding. Then we've got 2 discs here of Messiaen's Va Regarde sur l'Enfant Jésus. Now, these were recorded, let me see, what was this, 1969. So, I mean, it's worth remembering that 1969, Mendelssohn, Messiaen's piano music was really very much a sometime thing. And to take this on was very, very daring. I mean, Peter Serkin, of course, would do it and set the standard, the reference recording for the Va Regarde. And there was Yvonne Loriot and strange French labels and things like that. But again, Ogdon's desire to play interesting and worthy contemporary music was, and record it was wholly admirable. And this is a fine performances for all 20 of them. It's a fine performance of a very complex and demanding work, and it shows his technique and inquisitive mind to very, very fine effect. And last but not least, again, Messiaen, Vision de la Main with Brenda Lucas, his wife. Another fine performance. We all have our favorite versions of this now, particularly Martha Argerich and whatever, but, wonderful, wonderful stuff. I wish he had done more for Argo. I wish he had done more in controlled studio conditions when he was in his prime. But he was a character. He was difficult, and, there were reasons. The most famous recording he probably made, and one of his very greatest, was the Busoni Piano Concerto with Daniel Revenant. But that's on EMI. So it's not in this set. Other label. A wonderful, wonderful performance, too. But I think this was really a labor of love to release, and I'm very happy that these recordings have been gathered together, because Ogdon was definitely an important and worthy artist, and his career should be celebrated. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.